we have kind of a meta theory, like a driving theory in implementation research that says that we need to understand and articulate and kind of diagnose our context in which we're attempting implementation. And then knowing that context, we can tailor and adapt implementation strategies to then help either overcome or reduce barriers or amplify facilitators to enable successful implementation. But what I've experienced, as an implementation researcher and as someone who has attempted to implement programs in lots of different settings, is that as implementation researchers, I might come in from the outside as an implementation researcher, and I might diagnose a local context. So like your context in your clinical setting. And then I may see, okay, leadership engagement may be an issue. I've learned this from other settings that it really is an important construct to address. Maybe resources, maybe priority. And so if people are not using data, for example, to help monitor progress of their implementation, then we might say, well, an implementation strategy to address that might be audit and provide feedback. So basically provide that data for teams in an accessible, usable, actionable way. Well, that's kind of a macro level strategy. So I, as an implementation researcher, may develop an audit and feedback strategy that is adapted and modified and kind of tailored to that specific problem. But then when I actually go to your clinic, there are what I would call dozens of micro strategies that you need to do to actually make that audit and feedback strategy effective. So for example, you need to form a coalition. That's a strategy. You need to facilitate people being able to implement. That's another strategy. You need to plan and assess your own barriers and facilitators that are unique to you and your setting. That's another strategy. And it goes on and on. So we even, at a high level as implementation researchers, we may identify that everyone can benefit from audit and feedback, but at a micro level, at a specific context level, people are going to use that audit and feedback in different ways that best fits with their environment.
Am I right in thinking that involving people in these settings in that process is important? If it was a nurse on a ward, is she more likely to know what those might be? Or
Absolutely. And she's the one that has to navigate her own local setting and identify, if we say that leadership engagement is important and here are some strategies for, maybe it's an education strategy, maybe it's a coalition building strategy. She's the one that has to know or figure out, well, which leaders, how exactly do I package this education? And which people are the key people for me to involve in this effort? That nurse, those physicians, those technicians, they're the experts in their own context. And they're the ones that need to be leading the way.